Welcome to the IDP Hunter podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hungar, the IDP Hunter. Hey, what's going on, guys?
Man, so we have a returning guest this offseason joining us now, straight out of Delco, with the undeniable Philly flair. He's an Eagles diehard and the Cheesecake King of Lincoln, a dude who's been lighting up fast draft leaderboards all offseason. He's the mind behind the sharpest best ball and DFS takes on Player Profiler. Shout out, respect, a U.S. Army vet. Give it up for the one, the only, Delco Dave.
Yeah, Apollo Creed to be jealous of that introduction, man. That was great. That's all. I appreciate it, guys, man. Happy to be back, man. Really appreciate you reaching out again and having me back on. It was a rough couple months for me, and happy to get back to creating content, putting stuff out there. And Steve, congratulations, man. Coming in first this week, being in third overall, man. That's good stuff.
It's tough to guess the tackle week to week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest, though, a little narrative-based analysis here. I know we're numbers people, but a little narrative-based. Reed Blankenship just found out that, him and his wife are going to be expecting a baby. So maybe a boom week from Reed Blankenship, Eagles safety against the Cowboys, man. A little baby boom.
A little testosterone there might get you an extra tackle or two. What do you think?
Exactly, man. No, that's awesome, man. Like I said, so happy to be back here, man. I love everything I'm doing with Player Profiler. Those guys are awesome. Matt Kelly. If you're not on Fast Draft, get on there. It's one of the best apps out there. I love it. Been bringing the boys on there too. Their Pick 6 Super Slam is awesome. That's one of their fastest growing contests, so check it out.
Yeah, we actually got a video from Matt Kelly. I'll pull it up in a little bit too. He says hello. Paul's here. Paul said, heck yeah, he made it just in time. Timing's everything, my friend. Logan's in the chat. He's talking about the dynamic league analysis. He said he was overwhelmed, thrown in the deep end. Yeah, it's a 32-team league. We're in one where you start
$700.
Yeah, you start 8 defensive backs in this one league we're in, and it's 8 points of scoring. It's crazy right now. Just to give you context, what Logan's talking about, let me just show you the screen right here for this dynamic league. Over at the IDP Center on the website, you can go ahead and get custom analysis and join any of these leagues. Get them now. Go over there. Get them hot. If you're an IDP junkie like me, I'm over there in the off season. Jamie's actually getting ready to write over there, and I've had a couple articles myself. And again, I just said the promo a couple minutes ago. It's 50% off, guys. You can't really beat that anywhere. You can't beat that anywhere. 50% off anything for Thanksgiving. Go over to the IDP Center. It's the only packaging industry that does all that. And they have a trade calculator for IDP. You know how tricky that is. So I'm pretty excited. Thank you, Logan, for sharing that. And then, of course, Jamie, your best friend, Infinite Number of Monkeys, Jeff's here.
My name is Jeff.
Got Paul in the chat, taunting everybody. There he goes, infantry. Yeah, we got a full house tonight. Before we go, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. You're over at Player Profiler. Last time we talked to you, it's been busy in your household, right? Been doing a lot of moving, a lot of shaking. Yeah. You were doing the navigating the ADP, and you were doing the exclusive work on Fast Draft. What is it that you're into right now at the moment?
Yeah, so right now, setting up, getting ready for playoff best ball, which is actually one of my favorite forms of best ball. I love the game theory behind it. I love being involved in the drafts and playing the man, not just playing the machine where normal weekly DFS is, and the strategy behind it. So I will be. I'm working on a article now for general strategy in playoff best ball, and then I'll have a few more coming out. One of the things that the edge gets, it's harder and harder to find edges. So the details matter. And one of the things I personally like figuring out in playoff best ball is orchestrating, trying to anticipate what teams could end up in the conference championship. Because as you get chopped and teams get eliminated, the most active players you have on the most active teams is really where you can find an edge. So just navigating what teams are most likely to get to the conference finals, how you can have the most active players for the semifinal round, which is the conference championship round, and hopefully can punch your ticket to the finals. where you need to be able to full field a full team to, take down the money.
So let me ask you this. You work extensively with Matt Kelly. Tell the truth. You're on live TV. Nowhere to hide. What's it like working with the legend?
Oh, Matt's one of the best, man. Player Profiler and Fast Draft, they've been so incredibly supportive of me. You mentioned that we had some stuff going on over the last few months, and they've been absolutely incredible. We've had to do a lot of moving. I'm a veteran. My wife's still in the military. Army moved up our orders, dealing with the government shutdown, a lot of things going on. I wasn't able to contribute as much as I would have liked to, and the whole team there has been incredibly supportive.
Let's do quarterback. We'll come back to me later.
Yeah, so quarterbacks, man. Joe Flacco versus the Patriots. Definitely top 12 play this week. He is averaging QB3. That's 3 numbers since week 6 after joining the Bengals. Then I'm going to go after Jacoby Brissett versus the Jags because they're Jags. I have him at QB15 this week. Last week I had him at QB12. Everyone called me crazy. And what did he end up as? QB3. So I was actually too low on him. Shout out to Player Profiler because I believe they had him right around that QB 13-14 range. I think he's just too elite not to be in the top 12 again this week. So Bryce Young, a little bit lower for me at QB 17. If you need him, go get him. Jameis Winston might play versus Detroit. If he does play, there's going to be points scored in that game. And you have to start him. I don't care if he throws 3 interceptions, he's still going to get you enough points to be a startable QB. Sam Darnold versus Tennessee. Titans are trash. They're as much trash as you can be trash, and I think he could be a top 20 QB this week. So if you need a streamer in a single quarterback league, I think you could do worse. Trevor Lawrence, this is my last guy that I'm going to put trust in, and I don't really even trust him. This is a desperation play. He could be in that top 20 against Arizona. After that, these are the guys that I'm going to avoid. David Mills, Tyrod Taylor, Tyler Shaw, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, J.J. McCarthy, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward, and Shitter Sanders. Don't want anything to do with those guys. Those guys should just stay on the waivers.
What's Sanders' first name? Did I hear that correctly, or did I subconsciously think that?
It's Shitter Sanders. He's the shittier Sanders. So what I want to know from Dave, I'm going to throw it to you, brother.
Time show, fellas.
Thoughts on all of my starts, and are any of those avoids that I put in there? Would you actually take a shot on them?
No, I like just about everything you put out there. We do have a question in the comments: Tyrod Taylor versus Kirk Cousins, and you had both of them on your avoid. So If you had to pick one, which one are you picking, Jamie?
I would just go with Tyrod just because of the rushing upside ability that he has. And he's facing Baltimore. Baltimore, I know they've been tougher lately in that defense now that they're healthy, but still, those DLs.
DLs, if you guys want to go back to previous shows, I only got like 4 or 5 this week we're going to talk about. You guys want to go through all of my waiver streams? Because, Dave, you know better than anybody else. You could stream DL2 for days. The average DL20 to DL50, it's only like 3-4 points a game. So I don't really have that many new. So if you guys want to go back to previous shows, there's guys on those like the Alex Wrights of the world, the Jacob Martins. You can get away with that. But I'm going to kick it off with some fresh faces for this show, okay? Defensive line. Nick Herbig of the Steelers. He's a play again. He's a good player buried behind T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, right? Guess what? Highsmith just got hurt. He's sidelined with a pec issue. He's got an injury against the Bengals. Herbig came in and stepped right up. He's a 23-year-old. He's a dynasty asset for me. I generally don't stash defensive players, but I do in his case. What does he have? He has 2 straight games now with the sack. He's on a 6.5 heater for the season. So I really like him. Another guy you could stream most places, Nick Scorton, 3 sacks over the last 5 games. He's been coming on. He's been coming on real good here. Donovan Ezekwu, if I'm saying it right, of the Cowboys, he's looking really good. Jerry's starting to put together that defense. He traded for Williams. He's got Logan Wilson in there now. Overshown's coming back. I'm kind of excited. Ezekwu's getting all of those edge plays, and he's been a top 20 overall edge since week 5, according to PFF, as far as his numbers go. One more for you guys. This is going to require some deep thought here. Dallas Turner is playing the Packers. He's only owned in 8% of redraft leagues. Fire him up, because here's why. He's buried so deep right now on Fantasy Pros rankings. I think he's like DL 63 or something. I'm like, what are we doing? Greenard is injured, and this makes Turner very playable now. He's got a matchup against the Packers. Guess what? It's a strong matchup. The Packers give up the 8th most tackles to defensive linemen per IDP points against calculator. So this is just another option that you guys could stream. Now, here's my rationale, Jamie, and I'll kick it back off to you for running backs. Here's my rationale. If Greenard doesn't play, good, I got a baller for next week. If Greenard does happen to come back, well, he's a stash play because Van Ginkel and Greenard, they've been out all season. So it's Turner time. He's ready to go. I think this is going to be good. Hey, Paul. Paul's got a question about the linebacker core. Yeah, I can help you answer this, so we'll get to that in a second. But as far as defensive linemen go, that's all I'm really messing with right now. Defensive tackles, if you want to stream a Keanu Benton from last week or a Kershawn Wharton, who rolled a goose egg last week, but he had two 7 tackle games 2 games before, go right ahead. But I don't really have much newer names, so I'm just going to give it right back to you guys.
Are we ready to jump into running backs, or do you have any IDP that you want to talk about that he just did?
Yeah, no, go ahead, Jamie. Let's go to running
so
back,
if these are streamers, it's hard to stream a running back. So these are more stashes. So if you can go out and get Trey Benson is still barely 60% rostered. When he's back, he's locked into that RB2 value. So go get him. If you need a streamer, I doubt that he's still out there right now, but Sean Tucker with Bucky Irvin still out. Tucker's an RB2 play, and even when Irving is back, I could see Tucker being that RB3 type or flex appeal. Since Tampa Bay, they're probably not going to want to force Bucky back right away and give him that 70, 80% role right away. So I think Tucker can still have some value. Kenneth Gainwell. All right, so Podfather is all over Kenneth Gainwell, and I love his take on it. So I'm just going to give my take. Jalen Warren says he's fine, but if he does miss some time, Gainwell becomes an instant RB2 in your lineup every week. If Warren does play, Gainwell, he still has that RB3 flex depth plug and play. You can get numbers out of him. I know 2 weeks ago he had more snaps than Jalen Warren, but no carries. But then what did we see last week? Yeah, Gainwell blew up. So go get him. Emmanuel Wilson with the Packers. Josh Jacobs is probably going to sit at least 1 week with that knee injury. I don't see them forcing him into that game. Going into a short week playing on Thanksgiving, they're going to want to rest him for that Thanksgiving game. So a 1 week plug and play, Emmanuel Wilson, go get him, put him as an RB2. So not as serious as I just don't think Josh Jacobs' injury is as serious as we thought it could be. But going forward, Emmanuel Wilson could be something if it is more serious. But then I'm going to go with Brayshaw Tuten because he looked better than ETN earlier in that game before he got banged up. I think he can still, if he does play, you can still plug and play him as that RB3 flex play or even just worth a stash in case something happens to ETN down that stretch. So I would go grab him. Ollie Gordon. It's November, guys. No, Ollie Gordon shouldn't be sitting on waivers right now. He is the handcuff. He is a flex depth. He is the RB4. Whatever you need, but if something happens to A-Chain, Ollie Gordon's going to get you some monster numbers. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Keaton Mitchell, total desperation dart throw right now. But if Baltimore blows out the Jets like we are expecting them to do, he could pop off and give you actual points because he's explosive. And going deeper, if you want some handcuffs that you just want to stash for obvious reasons, it's Brian Robinson, Tyler Algier, Blake Corum, Tank Bigsby, Ray Davis, Devin Neal. These are all guys we talked about the past week to 5 weeks. So go get them. It's November, so we need them in our lineups or on our bench. So I got a question for Dave. Which running backs are you going after? And which ones do you think have the most upside if they do get the chance?
Yeah, you mentioned Trey Benson and stashing him. I think another running back in that Arizona backfield, Van Knight. DeMarcado is expected to be out. He's going to miss with ankle sprain. So Van Knight's going to have most of that backfield to himself, split with Michael Carter. Probably either one of them could be worth it. If you need to put somebody in for this week alone, Van Knight or Michael Carter can probably looking at 40 to 50% of the snaps right there. So that's something you can definitely plug in. Sean Tucker, actually, I played him in a dynasty league this past week because,
so did I. Yes.
Yeah, I was selling off pieces. I was in full rebuild, so I was selling off pieces. Acquired a bunch of first round picks this year and next year, and then because of Tucker and Henderson, I ended up having the highest score of the week, even though I was in full rebuild mode. But Tucker's a talented running back that I've been in since he was a rookie. He got knocked down draft boards and ended up being undrafted because of health concerns. I would say the best comparison for him as far as college production, his college profile, the way his draft played out coming into the NFL, and his first couple years production is actually Frank Gore. Frank Gore was very talented back in college, suffered a couple injuries, fell down the board, didn't produce much his first 2 seasons, and then went on to have a Hall of Fame career. Now, I'm not saying Sean Tucker's going to do all that, but similar concept. Great college profile, great runner in college, health concerns knocked him down, hasn't done much the first 2 years, but when given the chance, he's produced. So I would say I think Tucker might have iced Rashad White this past week. And even when Bucky comes back, I think Tucker's probably the 2 in that backfield right there. So those are the 2, I guess 3. Van Knight, Michael Carter, Arizona backfield, and Tucker going forward might have a bigger role than some people think. I think he secured himself 35 to 40% of that backfield.
I love it. We do have some questions in the chat real quick on running backs. I am taking Tuten 100% over Rashad White.
I agree, Jamie. It's Tuten over White.
Yeah, Allie had a question on targets to go trade for. I think you could trade for Derrick Henry pretty cheap right now compared to what he's going to be. I think he could be a top 10 running back the rest of the season, but I don't think you're going to be paying the prices as a top 10 running back just because of what he's been putting up. DeAndre Swift is another one down the stretch. I think could be a cheap buy right now. RJ Harvey, yeah, he does have a tough schedule, but J.K. Dobbins is out. Also, Woody Marks. Or if you want to take the injury, go get Josh Jacobs on that injury. If you could hold off for a week or 2, go get Josh Jacobs.
I think David Montgomery would be a good trade target. So underperform. Yes. But Detroit still looks to use 2 backs. I feel like you can get David Montgomery pretty cheap right now, and he's somebody that can give you low-end RB2 value. Logan here asking about buy or sell Swift. I'm actually buying Swift.
Yeah.
I think Swift's still legit. I think there's this whole narrative when Ben Johnson came to Chicago that like he didn't like Swift and like he was the one that chased him out of Detroit. I'm not sure that's entirely true. Like I think Swift knows Ben Johnson's offense. I think Ben Johnson trusts him, and Monungai's look good. There's no doubt about that. And I expect Monungai still to play, but Swift's going to get his.
Yeah, Swift going down the stretch. I think he could be the best number 2 running back. So if you can get him at that like back end of the RB2s like that 18, 19, 20 price, I think he could be at 13, 14, 15 running back each week. Love that.
Yeah.
So let's shoot it back to Steve for the LBs.
Okay, hey, as you guys know, I write that article every week, the Every Down Linebacker. So I'm going to read a little bit about the context of this article. It's kind of neat, guys. Every single week I do like snap counts. You know, I like to know where the player is. Is he in the box? Is he running? You know, is he on point in the? You know, is he on the edge? Is he in the trench snaps? I want to know how these players move and think, and that's kind of how I do my rankings. I determine. So it's the messy Cowboys linebacker room, but we got a clearer picture. You know, it's like a card trick. They're showing us the tells what they're going to do, what they're going to inform. So week 11 this week, we got a little bit of this unfolding. We had Logan Wilson with 56.7% of snaps. We had DeMarvion Overshown with 51.7% snaps. It's not really groundbreaking, but those are going to be your two-head guys. That's what they're going to want to go out with when they're at full strength. Of course, Logan Wilson doesn't know the playbook yet. So he's a little bit, you know, got to give him time to ramp up. Of course, DeMarvion Overshown's been injured. You got to give him time to ramp up. The rest of these guys, Shamir James, Kenneth Murray, they're in a timeshare, guys, only 43.3% of snap. And then Laufo's got it worse at 25. So the key takeaway here for me is Overshown, when he's fully healthy, he's taking this, he's shutting it down, and Wilson's going to be on the way. So those are going to be your two full-time starters. I don't want any of the other guys right now. So those are the two that I'm looking at, okay? We had another question in regards to Robinson. The question was, would I rather have Curtis Robinson or Elandon Roberts? So that one there is I want you guys to just look at the numbers the last couple of weeks. Elandon Roberts, week 7 was the week we were like praising him. 93% snaps, 18 tackles. Guess what happened? The bye week happened. Guess what else happened? The team moved away from him. He only got 60% of snaps in week 9 with 6 tackles. Then week 10, 41%, 2 tackles. Week 11, 4 tackles. So honestly, right now, Roberts is a drop to me, or I'm definitely not playing him. Depending on how deep your league is and how you want to go, I don't plan on playing him at all. But you know who I'm interested in for my second player? I'm going to talk about Curtis Robinson real quick and his relationship with Nick Martin. That's another question in the chat, okay? What did we have this week with the 49ers? We had another injury bug hit. Tatum Bethune this time, right? He went down with ankle injury. He's going to be out a while. He just was limited to 30% snaps. When you look at Curtis Robinson's snap count, I mean, he only had 68% snaps, but us IDP guys, we know enough. We're smart enough to know, don't look at the overall box scores. Look at the overall picture of what's being painted here. 68% snaps, but as soon as Bethune went down, he played 100% of the defensive snaps afterwards. So he's your guy to own. That's my second player here this week that I want you guys to consider. Pick up Robinson. I got him kind of higher ranked than consensus right now. Now, a sneaky play. This was a question in the chat as well about Nick Martin. You know, Nick Martin got 18% of snaps. The guy's a freak, Jamie. On those 14 snaps, he ended up getting 6 tackles. If my math is correct, 6 tackles, 14 snaps, he's got a 42.8% tackle rate right now. That kind of efficiency, of course, it's going to go down. It's going to go down when he gets some more playing work. But I'm pretty sure, if I was to surmise, I'm pretty sure the coaching staff is going to give this guy a shot at some point. So be on the lookout for Nick Martin getting play. But right now, to answer that question, which one would I rather? It's going to be Curtis Robinson because he has the role. Okay. Moving on, you see a trend with this list. A trend with this list, what I have here is injuries. During the season, this is what happens. And we're in the middle strides right now. Week 11, we had another injury. Guess who else got hurt? Quay Walker got hurt. When he got out, guess who they put in there? It wasn't Edge Cooper. Edge Cooper has his own role. They had a guy named Isaiah McDuffie. Now, this one is tricky. So I pulled up an old tweet I have. Did you know Jeff Hafley coached Isaiah McDuffie for one season in Boston College in 2021? That year, McDuffie was somebody. He was 5th in the nation with 107 tackles, second-team All-American. And he actually had a national televised game with 16 tackles against Notre Dame. Reason I bring that up, the coach loves this dude. Okay, so he's kind of an untapped talent. He gets play whenever the starters are out. So I'm picking him up a lot of places. If I can't get the Robinson claim in, I'm going to do that one. There are some sites right now that are talking up, Tyrone Hopper. I'm not doing it. I'm going with what the coach knows, and I'm going to what the player that I know, which is McDuffie. I mean, given the fact that, Walker's in his fifth-year option too, if we're going to talk dynasty, it wasn't picked up. There's no urgency in getting him back. So I'm going to actually start McDuffie in bigger league formats, and I'm going to go with Robinson, for smaller league formats. And I'm going to repeat a couple to you. Cody Simon, if you didn't get him last week, if you didn't read tea leaves, we talked about Logan Wilson a couple shows ago. Justin Sternard is another good name for you guys. Justin Sternard, check this out, guys. When Alex Singleton got his diagnosis, do you know about that, Dave? It's a pretty interesting story. Yeah. He got a blood test.
And he played with it. Before he got diagnosed, and then before he had the surgery, he played and then got the surgery.
Ain't that crazy?
Dude, that guy's a lunatic.
That guy is, man. That guy is. So what ended up happening was, we thought it was going to be Greenlaw's job. It wasn't. It turned out to be Sternard. Sternard took that thing over. So yeah, guys, you can get Sternard in a lot of places. I actually scooped him up in a 32-team league. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there, but I got him. So that's a sneaky one for you, because a lot of casual fans, they're probably thinking it's still Greenlaw's job. It isn't. Sternard played a 3-down role once old dude got hurt. Greenlaw, he only managed 61% snaps. So that's a bit of a headache. But yeah, that's the player that you guys want to pick up here. I'm going to go with – I'll give you one or two more here. We're going to look at the Panthers, okay? The Panthers got a player, Claudin Shirless. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He's a waiver wire stream kind of guy. Well, guess what happened? Trevon Wallace was injured. Christian Rosenboom also went down with a hamstring. Charles was like the last man up, and sometimes in IDP, that's what we want. He took over the green dot, and not only did he take over the green dot, he actually picked up their snaps. Again, box score readers, you're not going to get this one. He only logged 79% snaps, but once that happened, he was an every down player with 100% usage. So you can get away with him. There is another player in play here. I'm not starting him. It's Mema. Don't make me say this name. Njongmeta. He's the other linebacker. He doesn't merit enough juice for me to put in a waiver claim, so I'm not going to do it. So my three big ones this week, I think the way I have it, and you guys tell me in the chat, maybe you guys have it different, but I'm going Robinson first. I'm going McDuffie second, which may be controversial. No, I take it back. I'll go Sternard second. I'll go McDuffie third, which may be controversial, but I know what he does. I know when he comes in. And then I'll take Shervelis last. Sometimes, Dave, when I'm in leagues, sometimes what I'll do is I will guess what players they know and don't know. Most people don't know who Claudius Shervelis is, so I could probably pick him up as a secondary waiver. If you guys are really desperate, we're talking deep league stuff. Perryman of the Chargers ended up being the more senior of the two linebackers over Dye. You can probably get away with that. I picked them up in a 64-team league just so I can have one, and I was right. I got one at least. And then last but not least, I was going to say this for defensive backs, but since I'm still talking here, the Giants got a guy who's got the LBDB eligibility. You could easily get away with playing that. Now, the usage has been a little weird. He had 70% snaps 1 week, what have you. You can put him as a plug-and-play as your DB because Darius Masu is still down for the ankle injury.
The wide receivers. So these three wide receivers, they should already be owned in all your leagues because we've been talking about them for the past weeks. And it's Alec Pierce coming off of a bye week. Why is he only 50% owned? It doesn't make sense. Get him on your roster. Troy Franklin, he's getting more work than Cortland Sutton, so go get him. A deeper guy, Christian Watson. Man, I know it's boomer bust, but go get him. But besides him, Michael Wilson. Can we play him as a wide receiver 3 or a flex option with Marvin Harrison out? Yes. Don't expect a repeat of last week because he's not ever going to be wide receiver 1 ever again. And Jacoby Brissett won't ever throw for 57 attempts in a game ever again. But Michael Wilson, the Duke, can still be a wide receiver 2 and put up those wide receiver 2 numbers, but you're only playing him in your wide receiver 3 in your flex. Go get him. He's a must start. A guy that I think that can get some work down the stretch is Luther Burden. So this is the last chance to stash this guy. He moved into that number 3 slot role and was right behind Roma Dunze in opportunities. I can see this guy breaking out down the stretch the rest of the season. So if you want him on your roster for cheap, go get him now. Then you got Parker Washington, man. He's definitely a sell in Dynasty, but right now he's a buy in redraft because you want points on your team. And with Brian Robinson out before he returns, you want this guy. He's fun. He catches everything that you throw up to him. And he's going to be a guaranteed play as like a wide receiver 3 that could put up wide receiver 2 numbers. So why not start Parker Washington? A little bit deeper, this guy is only like 150 pounds. I mean, high schoolers, junior highs, they weigh more than this guy. But Tez Johnson, even coming off of a down game with Godwin still out and Mike Evans on IR, he still has upside. So he is worth a waiver wire. And I wouldn't mind putting him as if you're in a start 11, put him in as your flex. And then this is my favorite, Keyshawn Boutte, if he's healthy. So we're all a big fan of Booty, right? We all love the Booty when he plays. So go grab the Booty. If you're in a deeper league, go get Jalen Coker because guess what, guys? Xavier Legette is kind of banged up right now. He has that hip injury, and I think he is expected to play, but it doesn't matter because it's going to give Coker more looks, and the 49ers allow the most points to slot receivers, about 19 points per game to the slot. And Coker plays 63% of his snaps in the slot, so go grab him in a deep league, play him, go get those 9, 10 points. Maybe he gives you 20. We don't know, but I love Coker. Go get that Coke. So, Dave, which wide receivers that I mentioned would you feel like the most trust for, and which one sticks out the most? But is there any more that I missed?
Well, first of all, I love that a bunch of the names you listed, Alec Pierce, Troy Franklin, Luther Burden, all on a bunch of my dynasty teams that I've either been acquiring or had most of the year. Alec Pierce was actually listed, I believe it was on ESPN, as the number 7 top expected free agent this year, possibly commanding $20 million a year. I don't know what it is with Alec Pierce, but people forget that he was a second-round pick and had a ton of talent coming out. He's played with Anthony Richardson most of his career, but he's actually really stepped up. I love Alec Pierce. Like I said, I just brought him on one of my dynasty teams. I think Alec Pierce is a great play. Troy Franklin has been out targeting Cortland Sutton for most of this season and is in the tops in red zone targets. Love that one too. Luther Burden, pre-NFL draft. So even before he landed in Chicago, pre-NFL draft, the great J.J. Zachariason had Luther Burden listed as his top wide receiver prospect pre-NFL draft and said he had all the tools there. So I like all those guys. I believe Marvin Harrison Jr. is expected to miss again. Michael Wilson showed we can do. He's in his third year. He has a ton of talent. Jacoby Brissett, I think at this point right now today is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray for what he needs to do on that offense. So I like Michael Wilson as well. One that I would like to put out there, probably a deeper one, and people are probably sick of this guy too because he was a bit of a fantasy darling and has always underwhelmed and just makes boneheaded plays and drops. But A.D. Mitchell, the New York Jets tried to feed him the ball last week, and he plays wide receiver. Unfortunately, his biggest flaw is that he can't catch the ball. But if he figures out how to catch the ball, Reggie Wayne, back in A.D. Mitchell's rookie year last year, talked about how he's one of the best separators in the league as a rookie. The skill set is there to get open. He has a ton of athleticism. He just moves differently than other players out there. He just can't catch the ball. They made the move to Tyrod Taylor, and Coach Glenn came out and said it's because they want to evaluate the younger players on their roster. They want to see what these young guys can do. They want to know what moves they need to make this offseason. I would expect A.D. Mitchell to be featured heavily, even if he comes up short repeatedly. They're going to feature him. They want to see what they have and how they can address that roster. So for a long shot, contrarian play for DFS, stash in Dynasty, or a desperation play in deep leagues, A.D. Mitchell could be a guy to take a flyer on this week.
I love how you mentioned Dynasty because A.D. Mitchell is a Dynasty throw-in that you can get for completely free. So I'm a big fan of Player Profiler. I watch the Dynasty Warzone religiously, and Memphis Young, he said, go get A.D. Mitchell because this dude is going to just right now you can get him for free.
Yeah, I really think it's a mental thing with A.D. Mitchell. I really think it's in his head right now. I think he's disappointed in himself. He didn't play he had that horrible fumble. He made a great catch, great play, fumbled at the goal line. It was a touchback. He cost the team the game. They didn't play him the next week, and reports came out. It wasn't like a disciplinary thing. He legitimately was like depressed. He was having a hard time coping with what happened. Like he was so hard on himself for hurting the team and felt so awful about it. They're like, listen, man, like just sit down and like don't even worry about it. Like it was just in his head so bad about what's going on. I think it's completely mental. If they can somehow get through to him and get him to shake it off, let him find his confidence again, like it's all there. I mentioned earlier, I made the comparison for Sean Tucker and Frank Gore about the medical concerns and how it took Frank Gore a couple years to start producing and what we could potentially see with Tucker. One of the best comparisons for A.D. Mitchell is Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams struggled with confidence and drops his first two seasons, but as we've all seen, had a ton of all the ability was there. I'm not saying just as wasn't saying Tucker's gonna be Frank Gore, and I'm not saying Mitchell's gonna be Devontae Adams, but that is the upside comparison. All the physical tools are there for A.D. Mitchell. It is. It's something in his head right now. If he can get past it, this mental block that he has, if he can get the right coaching in his voice, just find his confidence again, A.D. Mitchell could be an absolute dynasty steal right now.
Yes. Shout out to Dynasty Warzone on Player Profiler. Go check it out. Jerry, Sinclair, and Memphis Young, they are awesome, and they put that in my mind about 2 weeks ago, and I've been thinking about it ever since. So go get some A.D. Mitchell. We have a question in the chat. John Mechie. All right, guys. I love John Mechie. I've been holding him so much in Dynasty, but he was the guy like last year that you kind of had to let go at some point. But now that he's on the Jets, I don't want anything to do with him on the Jets, but I still go out and acquire him on the waiver wire. I'm just not willing to put him into my lineup because he did have a good game last week. I think he had like 13, 14 points. But it's the Jets. All right. So I want to know, Dave, are you going after a John Mechie? Because he did have a second-round profile I think he was drafted in the second round. Are you going after him 3 years later for a discount price?
I mean, an AD Mitchell comparison. Sorry, I had to read that comment.
Logan's killing me. He's good with his comments.
yeah, that was great. I was like, hold on, I gotta read that. So Mechie and AD Mitchell, both of them, they are, as far as roster building goes, those are players you want to take chances on. Guys with talent, upside that have underperformed. So as far as like building a roster, a real NFL roster, not us in the game we play, but a real NFL roster, those are the guys you want to take chances on. Howie Roseman's considered one of the best GMs in the league. You see him all the time. Jalen Phillips most recently. Jahan Dotson last year. He brings in guys that had talent previously and wants to see what he can get out of them. So both players, AD Mitchell and John Mechie, great players you want to buy on as true NFL teams. You want to see what you can get out of them. But it like they mentioned, these are Jets players. It's the Jets organization. If they don't get it right, and I think they could be. Aaron Glenn was a great NFL player. I remember watching him growing up. Great defensive back. Came up coaching under Dan Campbell. Both of them former players. They both understand building culture. I don't know if the Jets can be the next Detroit Lions. They got to get the quarterback right, and that particularly pertains to Mechie and AD Mitchell. But do I think there's a possibility where Mitchell and Mechie are both usable fantasy wide receiver 2s or wide receiver 3s? Yeah, there's a ceiling case to be made for that. They could also both not be in the league in a year and a half. Like, that's the bet you're making when you're looking at players like this. It's either, mid-range wide receiver 2, or they could literally just, be working a job somewhere in New York selling car insurance. Like, that's the bet we're making. But if you had the space and you can stash them, I would stash both of them. And I believe Mechie had cancer, right? Like, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Mechie ever can get. Yeah. So I'm going to bet on a cancer survivor. If nothing else, the beat cancer narrative, I'll bet on that.
Yeah. Go get them for free as a throw-in. Just what the heck? Why not?
Hey, we had 2 comments that we glanced over. Pete's talking about stick them on your gloves. I had that stuff as a kid, Pete. It doesn't work. It just screws up your gloves. And then I like this one out of Pete again. Pete, you're hitting a double hitter tonight. I always feel like Jamie's channeling his little inner Chris Berman, like he's possessed by his spirit. That's a compliment, my friend. I can see the Chris Berman in right now.
I like that comparison.
All right, I'll take
Delco dropping the mic. You got some good, nice chats tonight.
No, I like the Berman comparison for Jamie because when I think about Matt Kelly and like when I listen to him, I always feel like I'm listening to somebody cut a WWE promo, like a wrestler in the ring. Like, for whatever reason, that's how I almost always assume. Like, he could be in the middle of a wrestling ring doing his podcast. I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
You cannot put me in the same sentence as Matt Kelly because that dude is a fantasy god. That's the pod father. I'm the pod second nephew.
Look at this comment, Jamie.
What is this?
For two reasons. Jeff.
I last more than 3 minutes, guys. I mean, come on, give me at least 4. maybe 6, 7. 6, 7. Come on. All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna get to these DBs. These are the guys that are locking up these wide receivers that we just talked about. So, Steve, what do you have for DBs?
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, I also write the Safety Dance article, which I break down the safeties, the box snaps, the slot snaps, all their usage. I put that in the chat as well. It's a pleasure of mine. I do it every week. I kind of want to examine the ever-changing musical chairs rotation, what's going on there. Now, I can do another podcast for 6 hours about every single defensive back. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to pick 5 for you right now, guys that I'm interested in, guys that I'm at. Okay? For a shallow league, we're talking shallow, I'll work my way up. Cole Bishop, if he's out there, and believe me, I was in IDP-only leagues where he was sitting out there early in the year. I'm like, what are we doing? Listen to this pedigree. Listen to this resume. Cole Bishop right now ranks 3rd and 4th in completions. He ranks 4th in pass breakups. He ranks 2nd in interceptions with 3. He's got a 7.1 missed tackle rate. That's good for a defensive back. In fact, that ranks 16th amongst DBs. Last 3 games, you ready for this? 20 tackles, 2 interceptions, 13 solos. He's also really good in coverage, as the article kind of suggests. That's the only one. Good luck trying to find a true DB1 just laying around. I got a DB2 value for you. Patriots got a guy, Jalen Hawkins. This one's kind of interesting because he was a late bloomer. He's got the every down role later in the year, because remember, we had the Duger, will he, won't they? Then we had the Woodson phenom, and a lot of people guessed Woodson. They thought it was going to be Woodson as the superior defensive back because he's got the box roll. Well, really, it's been Hawkins, because Hawkins moves around. He's a jack of all trades if you look at his numbers. I kind of did a tweet on this. Had he have played an entire season and not just those 8 of 9 games started, he would have had 90 tackles, 5.4 sacks, 3 fumble returns, and 6 interceptions. So that's definitely a high-end DB2, a lot of places. Now, you guys are probably here, if you're sitting around listening for defensive backs, you kind of want those deeper punts. Well, I got 2 Jets for you because, they're going to get dunked on all year. They're going to get passed on. Look for Malachi Moore to be something in the Sauce Gardner aftermath of what's going on with the Jets. Malachi Moore is somebody. And for your CB required leagues, Jarvis Brownlee is always on my radar. He was with the Titans. Now he's with the Jets. The Jets are running a lot more zone than they used to because they don't really have an alpha guy. Well, this week against the Patriots, 91% snap count, every down roll, 8 tackles. Jarvis Brownlee could be streamed pretty much everywhere. And since we're running a little long this podcast, I'm going to give you one more guy that I know people aren't really looking at. Rookie the Titans got, his name is Kevin Winston Jr. You guys from the IDP channel, you guys know we kind of rookie prospected him during the season. In college, he had a great pedigree, okay? This is probably the only podcast that's talking about Whitson right now. Dave, he didn't miss a friggin' tackle in college. I can't grasp that right now. The guy didn't miss a single tackle. He led Penn State with 61 tackles, started 13, and added 2.5 tackles for loss. That's a player I'm highly interested in.
Tight ends. I love grabbing them. I love getting them off the waivers, just everything. So in shallow leagues, go look and see if Cade Otton's there, because I think he's only like 50 to 60% owned in some leagues. So go get Cade Otton. What are you guys doing? The Rams have been vulnerable, giving up 62-plus yards to tight ends in 3 of their last 5 games. And with Otton is playing 33% of the slot usage right now. So I could see him getting a 70-yard game with 3 or 4 catches, and he has touchdown potential. You got to go grab Otton. Juwan Johnson, I think we mentioned him earlier, or maybe it was my other show, but he's back from a bye. Be cautious, because I know Shaheed's gone. Shuck's in, Tyler Shuck. They're facing the Falcons. The Falcons has been the 3rd best defense, first fantasy points to tight ends. So the last 4 games, Otton has, Juwan Johnson, he's been getting top 12 numbers. So you're tempted to play him, but going against a Falcons defense, I think you need to sit him. But if you're completely desperate, go get Juwan Johnson, because I think he can get you at least 10 to 12 points at minimum as a streamer. AJ Barner, a little bit farther down the list, he's on a roll right now. He has 10 catches for 70 yards last week. He's a red zone weapon. He's catching 6 of 7 targets inside the 20-yard line. So that's a goal line guy that you want to go after. He has 4 touchdowns this season. No score since week 5. So that's why he's under the radar. He doesn't have a touchdown since week 5, but against a Titans defense giving up 27-plus points per game, I think you could actually put him in your lineup and feel comfortable getting 10-plus points. Bretton Strange, go get Bretton Strange because, yeah, he's close to returning right now, and he should be rostered immediately. Jags are banged up. We talked about it earlier, and the target vacuum is real. When he's healthy, Strange led the team in catches, average 5 targets a game. Once he's active, he's right back in that tight end 1 territory. So if you're a playoff team, go get him and stash him right now. A little bit deeper, Jatavian Sanders, he is back. 5 catches in week 10, 4 in week 11. PPR loves those receptions. Going against the 49ers, they have allowed 4 tight end touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. And Sanders has 7 of 9 red zone targets. So he can easily, finally, find the end zone. Give him a touchdown, and we'd be talking about him differently right now. Deeper, I guess you can go with Chig Okonkwo. I know the Titans, they suck. With Ridley out, though, and Shamir DK, he's hurt. Someone has to catch passes. So Chig is in play as a desperation streamer. If all those guys that I mentioned aren't available, I guess go with him. But the Titans, they got low volume. Their passing it really caps the ceiling with their passing volume. So I really expect like a volatile usage. But who's to say he can't catch a touchdown? He can't get 5-6 passes and 40 yards. That's a tight end 1 right there. So I'm asking you, man, Dave, with those tight ends, who are you grabbing? Because I do love those loose ends, grabbing them, but which tight ends are you grabbing?
So one of my favorite ones this week and potentially going forward is Terrence Ferguson for the Los Angeles Rams. Tyler Higbee ruled out. McVay wanted Ferguson. They took him earlier than expected in the draft. Very athletic tight end. I could see him not only just this week, but rest of season being a very valuable tight end going forward.
How did I miss him? I don't know how I missed him, man, because he is one of my dynasty tight end that I'm going after. So you 100% right. Go after Terrence Ferguson. I'd rather have Terrence Ferguson over guys that I mentioned.
Yeah, I just picked him up. He's a guy. So I traded for Tucker Kraft in one of my leagues 2 weeks before he got injured. And then I immediately picked up Luke Musgrave, thinking he'd step into that role. And then I just, 2 days ago, dropped Musgrave for Terrence Ferguson because Higbee was banged up. And I'm counting on Ferguson for this playoff push.
Man, I was a huge Ferguson fan in Dynasty. I was going after him in the late second, early third, over guys like Mason Taylor, Harold Fannin, who I love. I think Ferguson is going to be a beast. And in that McVay offense, they are going to lean on him at the last half of the season. Going into next year, this guy is going to be awesome. So in Dynasty, go get him cheap right now.
Yeah, no, huge fan of Ferguson. That passing offense is so concentrated to Nakua and Adams. But, in the NFL, every offense is a third man. And I think Ferguson's the guy that they'll find a way to get the ball in his hands.
Love it. So, Steve, I think we finished our show.
I got two in the chat I missed. I was so quick to get off defensive backs. It was asked Xavier Watts or Ty Okada. It's Watts. They interchange their roles week to week, so look for that. And then Paul asked if Tony Adams is useless. DB 61 on the week. So, yeah, that's pretty useless to me. I think I covered it, man. We had 60 comments.
Yeah.
Another one I have is a 32-team league. East Tom territory. We go from tight end to defensive back super quick. If I didn't get y'all, just message me or Jamie.
Yeah.
And that was my last note, Jamie. Let's tell the audience where they can find us.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, as always, I will put bets in the chat Friday or Saturday. So go check back on this episode for the Sunday bets. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. So Thursday night bets, I'm just going to put it out there. Go take the under at 43.5. It's Thursday night. It's expected to go under, especially in a defensive grind game like it's going to be with the Bills and the Texans. So go take the under, and I will put the rest of my bets in the chat tomorrow or Friday.
Dave, where can we find you, buddy?
Yeah, man. On X, Twitter, @RealDelco Dave. All my stuff's at Player Profile. You can find me on the news desk and dropping articles. Playoff best ball's coming up, so I'll be dropping that. Also, bold prediction for the week. I mentioned it earlier. Reed Blankenship announced that he's expecting a baby, so it's the baby boom week for Reed Blankenship. I'm predicting a pick 6, baby, for Reed.
And then me, IDP Hunter. I'm over there on Twitter. I'm on the Fantasy Six Pack as well. I'm in the IDP Center chat. Speaking of the IDP Center, we talked about it earlier, the dynamic custom league analysis. Promo code Thankful25. Okay. You get 50% off all of their dynamic league analysis. The IDP Center, they actually have a package deal. They give you custom league analysis, and the trade calculator itself is worth it. We had Aiden in the chat who runs the thing. It's a great, neat thing to be a part of. And then, Dave, we talked about Fast Draft. I'm going to have to break down that formula. I'm probably going to have to ask you to come back on the show so we could exploit it a little bit. But Matt Kelly messaged me that right for the show, so I wanted to get that on, guys. That's all I got this podcast, guys. Any closing thoughts, Jamie?
Yeah, just make sure you go win your leagues, because if you're going out there picking up chicks, they're going to be like, I don't want anything to do with you if you're losing your fantasy league. Why not go out and just win your leagues? Go pick up those chicks.
Wow. I don't know what to do with that. Let's just end it on that note, huh?
That's so great.
Oh, my goodness. All right. See you guys on the podcast. Take care. Talk hard, everybody.